Hello everyone, welcome to Game Junk Prototype episode 56, recording on Thursday, April 8th, 2021. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name's Andrew.
In a bit of a slow news week, we'll be talking about Xbox Game Pass getting a Sony exclusive? What's going on? And a few games we played, including Outriders and a game I can't wait to talk about, Kaze and the Wild Masks. I'll mention first some new videos on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/GameJunk. We've got part 2 of A Way Out, and Sean and Huck got together and played a little Outriders.
Oh, yeah.
It starts off with a bang, I can tell you that much. You're going to have to take a peek to see how that went. I haven't watched the entire thing, but people are loving it.
Well, if you saw the first half, you've pretty much seen the second half.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of cool. I'm into this idea of trying out some Let's Play style videos. I mean, who knows where it could go, but let us know what you're liking and not liking, I guess.
Most importantly, subscribe, thumbs up, smash, smash, smash. You know how it goes.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get to news. So we'd already heard, I don't know if we talked about it on the show, that MLB The Show, which is made by Sony first-party studio, San Diego Studios, and was previously Sony platform exclusive, was coming to Xbox, and recently it was revealed it will be day one on Game Pass. So, you know, I am the Sony fanboy. I must address this. We have to talk about it. To be honest, I don't play those games. I don't care that much. But it does seem weird at a glance. And the articles seem to indicate not a lot of the actual deal. I still can't seem to find out, like, who gets the money for the sales. Is it the MLB? Is it Sony? Is there a split deal behind the scenes? Like, it's not really clear who this benefits the most. One of the articles I read said, you know, basically Sony responded by saying it was the MLB's decision, which makes me think they own the game and perhaps had negotiated with Sony saying, look, we don't want this to be an exclusive game anymore. Either we're going to give the license to someone else or we'll let you have it and keep those sales, but we want it to be on other platforms. It would be my guess. I have no proof of this, but that's what I think might have happened. What do you guys think? Is this huge? End of the world for Sony? I mean, huge win for Microsoft?
It's a big
They
news
probably
story
should have
for
had
sure.
an hour-long marketing talking about all the exciting opportunities that it's going to present and, you know, all the great stuff that's going to come in the future. Soon we'll talk about with future MLB titles that may or may not be exclusive. Who knows? I feel like they really dropped the ball with the launch of this announcement.
Well, it is the only simulation baseball game out there.
Yes.
So obviously it hasn't been on Microsoft consoles for quite a while. They've had like other like Super Mega Baseball, I think, and some other like baseball
RBI
sports.
baseball.
Yeah, but nothing like MLB The Show. MLB The Show is really, really good. So I think it is pretty good, pretty big, especially since it is developed by Sony. So Sony goes from having this exclusive license where they get 100% of the profits minus whatever they have to pay back to MLB. Now they have to give Microsoft, 30% of the cut, or, I guess they get whatever Game Pass deal they got, whatever lump sum Microsoft was willing to shell out. But obviously, if MLB made the decision to go, Sony is probably not that enthused about it. I mean, they are putting in all the development effort, all the development money at a first-party studio to make this game. You'd figure they would want to reap all the rewards and have it be, a draw to get a PS5. Because this will be the first next-gen, I guess that
hasn't been stated. Like, I guess it might be up to Sony, debatably, as to whether or not maybe they just do an Xbox One version, not a Series X version. And it's PS5, like a next gen exclusive on Sony. Could be a possibility. I highly doubt it. But
It is coming to both Xbox One and Series S, Series X.
That can get a little muddled though because everything works on the console, right?
Okay,
Like if
maybe.
it's actually in a Series X like executable or version of it is we'll have to see, I guess. When does this drop? I'm surprised it's not out yet. I'm assuming it's because of COVID.
It's like a
It's
week or
April
two, right?
20th, I think.
Because
Yeah,
usually
so
those
in
games I
2
thought
weeks.
come out before the season starts, but I could be wrong about that. So don't quote me. I don't know if these gamers exist anymore, but people who would buy every sports game, right? And Game Pass already had EA access. So, I mean, I guess Sony has EA, or sorry, but Game Pass has it. So if you just got Game Pass, you'd basically have every sports game conceivably, all the major ones. So,
So those are not the current year. They're the previous year.
right, but like Madden, the only current ones that's on there now. And I think, although,
Yeah.
sorry, I lied. NBA 2K is not on Game Pass yet, to my knowledge. I think they have some.
I think it just came
Did it?
a couple weeks ago. Yeah, 2K1
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I think
they
so.
might
or
be doing
2K21.
2-1, yeah. They might be
2-1.
doing a calculated, like, we want to attract the sports gaming audience, which is a pretty good strategy, I'd say. I'm sure is a segment that are, people who just play sports games. I
Yeah,
could
I
think
mean,
of people like that when I was young.
Yeah, my brother's one of those people. I mean, I think at this point, yeah, Game Pass is absolutely a huge thing for those people. You can get all the sports. You may not get the most up to date EA ones, but it's pretty hard to say no to that. So, yeah, I think it's a big deal. I mean, it's just the fact that there's a big news story out there, and we keep talking about the console wars. I mean, this does play like Microsoft getting one up over Sony, and people keep saying, "Hey, I can get MLB The Show for free on Xbox, and I have to pay $80 for it on PlayStation." Obviously, whether it's free, quote unquote, is not really true, but that's the perception. So, and I mean, I haven't played a baseball game in many years, and I will probably check this out. So, it's definitely having an effect. And the quote from Sony was that the MLB decided to bring the franchise to more players and baseball fans, and so that's their goal. They wanted to get it out there to more people, and kind of makes sense. I mean, it seems weird that the only big baseball game that's licensed by MLB was a Sony exclusive for so many years, but they managed to keep it that way, I guess.
And I wonder if there are some stats that with EA Access going like to be wrapped in with Game Pass, I wonder if they saw that a lot of those titles get more downloads on. Like, I wonder if that was part of Microsoft's pitch to the MLB, saying like, "Hey, we have sports gamers on our platform. Why don't you come here and put your sports game on it, and then it can be you'd get access to all these sports gamers that we have already." And they probably had all the numbers for the downloads for all the EA Access stuff, so they would have proof that people are playing sports games on Xbox. That could be a big draw.
Yeah,
especially
for sure.
especially if they were able to compare with the PS4 numbers, and if they were comparable, which obviously they must have been, even though the install base for the PS4 was so much larger, it might have been really attractive to the MLB to get it on Microsoft.
Yeah, so I mean, who knows where we'll be in 10 years if the one console future is a possibility. I guess we'll see. Everything seems to be heading that way with Sony starting to move to PC. Who knows? It'll be Nintendo versus the world.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, moving on. I just want to talk about this briefly. We don't have to get into it too much, but I saw a kind of a news article today about a game called Abandoned, a PS5 exclusive, which I'd never heard of. And it was getting quite a bit of attention because there were rumors that it was a Hideo Kojima game. And I'm like, why do people think that? I mean, I'll say it. I can't think of a clever name for it, but it is kind of clickbait. And I was like, who started this? Like, I watched the trailer. I see nothing about it that reminds me of Kojima at all. I guess there was mystery. It was a new studio. I don't want to get into conspiracy territory that maybe they started the rumors themselves. I don't think that was the case. But, you know, this game, it's so hard to get people to talk about a game these days and to get attention. And there's so much competition. And this somehow had a lot of people talking about it by just associating Kojima incorrectly. And I watched the trailer, and it's basically nothing. It's a photorealistic environment. And I mean, nothing about the art style even screams Kojima to me in any way. So Kojima games have a slightly distinct look that I am not artistic enough to articulate what that is, but I do not see it at all in this game. Like the Kojima engine, it's got a look to it, and I can see that look in Castlevania Lord of Shadows.
Well, the new game, Death Stranding, uses Guerrilla's engine.
Yeah, I guess. Sorry,
Horizon. It's like Horizon Zero Dawn.
Good point. Basically. Yes, that's correct. But so whatever their character proportions and art direction is, I don't know how much if Kojima defers that or does it himself. I have no idea, but there is a definite look to that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that these kind of rumors surrounding a game.
Well, and I mean, the biggest thing I saw when you told me that there was rumors about it being Kojima, and I watched the trailer. At the very end, so I guess the most of it is just environment, like you were saying, with some signage and stuff and a house. But then at the end, they show a guy holding a gun, mm-hmm. and the gun is, in my opinion, kind of awkwardly placed. And the hand
doesn't look that good either.
Doesn't look that good. Now, if this was Kojima, there would be sweat coming off that hand. You would be able to see little fine hairs. Like, that would be the highest res hand you've ever seen in your life. It would look like someone is standing there holding that gun.
Exactly. Like, think of Kojima. When I think of Kojima, I think of the install screen for Metal Gear Solid 4, literally smoking a cigarette down to completion. Like, this would not be Kojima at all. There's nothing about this that screams Kojima to me in any way. So I agree, Huck. Good observation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw, people were speculating. Like you said, it's a new company. Apparently, there's very little information about the company out there. Like, even their website is either...
Even better. Imagine you were a company that no one had heard of. And
yeah, but like somehow that fed into the rumor. And I mean, I saw the headline too. I didn't watch the trailer, but I just saw it and I was like, yeah, I don't know what that is. And then Frank mentioned, yeah, check out the trailer. And then it's like you watch the trailer and there's like so little there that, yeah, I agree. It's a little
like literally to make that photorealistic demo. I don't want to speculate. What are we looking at? Maybe, let's say 2 weeks. Does that sound fair? Yes. Now, if you modeled all the assets from scratch, that's a different story. But who knows how that went? Like it's all the same tree, basically. It's like birch trees, right?
Or pine trees or something, like some kind of tall tree.
Anyway, I think we've talked about it too much. But Sean, come on, give it to me.
What?
Lob it up. We talked about it before the show. Set it up, bud.
I don't know what we're talking about. You shot down all my ideas.
No, I didn't. I said, remember, bring that up on the show so I can punch it in.
I honestly don't remember.
Getting a little peeling the curtain back a bit. Sean was telling me that there are rumors that Kojima or Microsoft is looking into signing an exclusive deal with Kojima. To which I said, that makes a lot of sense because Microsoft is really good at securing and making the most overrated developers possible first party. And I mean, I love Metal Gear, but I will firmly say Hideo Kojima is one of the most overrated video game developers. He's unique. He's great, but certainly overrated. Zone of the Enders, from what I played of Death Stranding. I mean,
I would not.
But I think Metal Gear is overrated, to be perfectly honest.
I mean, I'm not even the biggest Metal Gear fan. I would not call him overrated. I think he's rated just fine, but he's definitely...
He's visionary. He's been a pioneer in the gaming industry, but he's overrated.
I mean, he's had games that have been weird flops, and yeah, Metal Gear is kind of just, the mythology of that franchise is insane. But
And I want to be clear, overrated doesn't mean that they're bad. I don't know why when you
right,
say someone's overrated, it's like he's amazing or he's good, he's not bad. I know he's good. But you would think he is like there was a time when Hideo Kojima was the name in video games, probably after Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid 2, not that good. Metal Gear Solid 3, pretty bad at the first version. The camera sucks. It got better as they iterated over it over 4 different versions. I like Metal Gear Solid 4 a lot. Didn't beat Phantom Pain. Look, I appreciate what he does for games, but
well, I mean,
it's just like Breath of the Wild. It's overrated. It's okay to say.
whether he's overrated or not, just to bring it back to Microsoft's interest in him, he is a huge name, and that would be, again, a huge story if they actually managed to get exclusive rights to the next Kojima game.
I think in retrospect, Rare was extremely overrated. I think Nintendo brought a lot to the table with what Rare was doing in terms of their final shippable games. Everything they've done since they left Nintendo has been questionable, and their own desire to create unique experiences, I think, has gotten in their own way. Aside from Viva Pinata, like Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts was like they were trying way too hard with that game. Sea of Thieves, I guess people play it. I think it's kind of a turd. Well, definitely a turd. Let me rephrase
I
it.
don't know about with Rare though. I mean, you don't know how many people left. Like I think the main creative guys all left after their time was up because remember Microsoft like shifted them on to like Connect stuff
Yeah,
and
an
doing
avatar
weird
system.
yeah, avatar stuff. Like why would you take like arguably a very creative company, one that made Blast Corps and like other really unique titles and then have them do avatar stuff? Like that seems like a huge
I know it's almost.
mistake.
I hate to say it. It's like they got off on their own uniqueness. Like we make crazy games like Blast Corps and all this stuff, and they leaned into that a little too hard. Like
Well,
Perfect
Frank,
Dark
let's
for
say you made
360 sucked.
okay, but let's say you make Scourgebringer. You're jacked about it.
Cameo
It's
rock.
amazing. It's amazing. I buy your company out, and then I have you make avatars. Does that
Well,
sound like a good use of your
I'm going
time?
to play devil's advocate here. Maybe they pitched a few games, made a few prototypes, and Microsoft is like, "What the fuck did we buy? Can we give these guys the Avatar system?" Uh,
Maybe, sure. I
like
guess
you
that
got to
could
look
happen.
at it both ways.
I mean,
Then you
but
could say,
like,
"Oh, well, look, they left." Well, where did they go? Did they make ukulele? Because that's even worse.
I mean, like the Kinect stuff is interesting just because like that was a big thing for Microsoft for a while. They were pushing that. They were trying to turn that into like the future of gaming, and putting Rare on it maybe seemed like a good idea. Maybe they were excited to work with new technology, but it obviously didn't pan out so well.
I love all of Rare's games pretty much for Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, and Viva Pinata is one of my favorite games of all time. But other than that, they're okay. They're highly skilled. I wouldn't say like their name and reputation far exceeds at this point their output. Again, see the definition of overrated. I at this rate, I think Microsoft is going to be like Yuji Naka is going to have a big paycheck. They're going to see that Balan Wonderworld and think this is the guy that did Sonic. We got to get got to. I don't know. I think Hellblade is. I like a lot of Ninja Theory games, but Hellblade not that good. I know they made a big deal about that signing. Double Fine have loved, but lately not vibing with too much of their stuff. So I'm sorry. I hate to be the fanboy, but Sony is way better at locking up and developing first-party talent. It's not even close.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, but like, is Sony really even in the acquisition
Even worse,
market right now? Like, they kind of just
Microsoft funds companies to develop games that become better Sony games. See Sunset Overdrive, which I really liked. That pretty much was a step towards Spider-Man on PlayStation, which is one of the biggest games ever. There's a lot of those ideas that just
It
carry.
was. I've listened to interviews with Ted Price, and he said it was totally a jumping off point.
Yeah, I mean, it's anyway. I actually applaud Microsoft for taking chances on games like Sunset Overdrive, and I was with Scalebound, the one game I was really excited for from Platinum. It just there's something that happens, whether it's the developer or Microsoft, I don't know. It just never seems to pan out. So anyway, I hope I'm wrong. I hope these games are all great. And Kojima's game, because I'm gonna get it for free, or I'm paying for Game Pass anyway. I don't care if I like my Xbox. I'm just saying their games or their first party talent or ability to lock that up, not that great.
I mean, I don't know. I'm wondering, like, Microsoft's putting out a lot of money right now for all the stuff they're trying to bring to Game Pass, and I'm just wondering what the end, like, at what point are they not losing money on this deal? You know what I mean? Like, they obviously just want to lock people into their platform for the foreseeable future, but I don't know if that's like, I don't know at what point that's worth it, I guess, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, we don't know, but if I know companies and corporations, they're making money if they're still doing it.
Well, I know for me, like, I'm pretty in love with Game Pass, which is what, $15 a month, right? When it goes full
It's a
price.
no-brainer.
And I literally pay $0 to $60 a year on new video games. So, or I guess 80 now. So for me, Game Pass is actually more money than they would ever get from me in a given year, and I will continue to pay for it. So for me, it's actually like the cost of 2 games essentially. No, wait, that's not right.
That's not
Maybe
true.
3.
You bought Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, and
80. Okay, so we're at 80. Did you not buy Animal Crossing after trying it out?
no,
You
library, baby.
I know. I thought you said you were going to end up buying it or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't.
That was
Yeah.
You bought Last of Us 2.
Did I buy that? Yeah, I guess I did. Yeah.
I mean, we're already at 2. I'm sure I'm forgetting some.
Okay.
yeah, but
Those
I think he
are
said
By
like
numbers
milestone-
on Steam? Murder by Numbers on Steam? Was that a purchase?
Of course, it was purchased.
All right. I'm just saying. You said you
Hell yeah.
spend $0 to $15. And
I was talking about on Microsoft.
Okay, all right. I take it back. If that was the
Of course,
case.
I'm gonna buy Sony first party stuff. But that's amazing.
Oh, of course, they're the best.
But I guess, like, does that, so that just having that money for you paying for Game Pass for a year, like, you think they're trying to move consoles, but like, then people always say consoles are like, they're losing money on consoles too. So I just don't understand how
That doesn't get said anymore. That got said a couple times, like PlayStation 3.
Yeah, maybe it's not true. I mean, they are pretty expensive.
Well, and a lot of them are all kind of like off the shelf parts now. It's not like the PlayStation 3 where they're developing their own specific cell architecture.
Yeah, and
CPU.
SPUs.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's different now. They basically just say, here you go, NVIDIA, here you go, Intel. Like, give me the parts I want, and then they get them. So I think it's different.
Put a cool box around it and sweet
right.
packaging.
I guess, like, it just reminds me of like what's happening with all the streaming services on the TV and movie side, because a lot of those are not making money right now, but it's just like, if you have the numbers, then your stock goes way up because you just have this many people on your platform, and that's all that matters right now. So it's kind of where Microsoft is at, I guess.
Time will tell, Sean.
Well, it's also, I mean, from a financial standpoint, it's a more predictable flow of income, right? If you have those subscribers, you can probably, estimate that 90 to 95% of them will continue their subscription, or 80 or something, and you don't really know how many people are going to buy games.
It's true.
It's kind of a wild card.
You're taking a lot of risk with every game that you fund and publish, and that definitely is like a nice stable income. So
yeah, so I think it just gives you that kind of baseline of income.
I'm gonna repeat one point I've made before and have a new one. So the repeat point will be, I think Bethesda, like I said, I think they may pursue engine technology or outsourcing some of their engines potentially that are very good. I what did I say last time? ID tech, id tech, uh, and don't forget this got teased a while ago. It's never come up again, but id was pushing their cloud-based gaming technology and talking about outsourcing that for Doom when they played it on a mobile device at an
By
E3.
and by outsourcing, you mean licensing.
Yes, sorry, my bad. Thank you. And my new point is, I think there is a huge push. We're going to see it more and more and more with games like Fortnite, Destiny, everything moving towards games as a service model, which is built upon cosmetic purchases, the battle passes, monthly stuff like that. And if you already have these games for free on Game Pass, that stuff will still cost money and will generate revenue streams. So once you're hooked into those systems, then at least if you play those games, or let's say you have Game Pass, you'll still play Fortnite on Xbox and buy your V-Bucks there and these other games as a service, not to mention the ones they own on that service as well. So I think kind of tying into Huck's revenue stream, I think that's a huge part of it as well, including EA games, which are, the card collecting and digital card collecting is kind of having a boom right now with, I think, NBA Top Shot or something like that and all these other things. So they might be trying to get into that area as well. And I think like Fallout 76 kind of sucked, but I've said it before. I think Bethesda took a calculated risk with that game in moving their franchises, the big ones, to a games as a service model that's online. And I think they knew it was a stepping stone, and they're going to get better, or that was stuff that was part of the acquisition, knowing that that was a push from that company. Just pure speculation.
So hang on, you're guessing that Bethesda or all of Microsoft or all of games are going to try to go games as a service?
I think all of games are. Like,
okay,
maybe not Sony. Sony seems to be pretty committed to their AAA single player experiences. It may change, but in general, kids, multiplayer games, free to play, or games as a service is becoming a bigger and bigger thing. And I think we're going to see more of that.
I mean, I would push back on this a little bit, only that we kind of went through this cycle before when MMOs got big. You had World of Warcraft become insane, and then you had all these other MMOs trying to come out that were also trying to get in on this, games as a service thing for MMOs. And there's only really room for a couple big dogs at the top.
Okay, my counterpoint to that would be that's when they were all trying to be the same genre. They were all trying to be an MMORPG just with a different world, right? I think we're going to see action games, like an action game becomes a games as a service, a shooter becomes a games as a service, an RPG, puzzle games. All these different genres are going to coexist as games as a service.
But you're still only going to see a few at the top of all those genres. Like when you say all games, like I don't think that's going to be viable. Like what was Cliffy B's game or whatever that failed big time? That shooter, like online Fortnite type game, whatever it was called. And I mean, he's a pretty big name. You figure he got some marketing money behind that, and he couldn't even make that work. I guess like Apex Legends is now working. So there is those shooters. There's the Destinies, there's Apex Legends, and there's like another one.
I'm not saying they're all going to succeed either. I just think, I bet that's what executives are talking about all the time. Like, we need these, like you said, Huck, constant revenue streams, games that once people play once, they're in forever. We have them hooked, or we just evolve the same content over time.
I do think that has become sort of the blockbuster, format of choice right now. But I also agree with Huck that I think there is, there's only a certain amount of room for that because, you're trying to make yourself the one game that somebody plays forever and they don't play anything else. But, there's an interesting article I read, I think this week, where they're talking about this idea of a game being dead. Like, this is a thing that people say, oh, that game's dead. because nobody's playing it right now. And it's like people are so quick to want to jump on any game that doesn't have enough players. They'd just be like, yeah, that game's dead, and just like dismiss it. And so that's kind of like how cutthroat and competitive these kind of games are. It's like if suddenly you fall out of fashion, people are like, fuck that game, it's dead, I don't want to play it.
Well, I hate to tell you, in the past, every game died very quickly. And they would be on sale for 25% of their original price. So
that's true,
you think that is something executives are like, yeah, we want to have a 2-month sales window, and then we're going to cut this game by 75% for the rest of eternity. I think they're much more intrigued by a constant revenue stream for at least 2 years, and then maybe it dies. Okay, well, we're okay with that.
Well, this kind of ties into maybe the last news story we're going to talk about the EA patent. I don't know if we were going to bring that up, but I mean, there is no real sports game right now as a service. And so EA filed this patent, I guess, or got approved for this patent that was basically that they allow you to, or that allows them to balance games across multiple games and for each playthrough. So each playthrough, they are trying to maximize playtime. So I think if they're taking that, now I didn't read the whole patent, but I don't think explicitly said which type of genres they're targeting, but you'd think for sports genres, especially the FIFA games where they're trying to get you to open packs and buy the cards and do all that kind of stuff, that if you could create that to be a games of service and get people to buy packs and cosmetics and then maximize their time in the game even more than they're going to, and then also use that to try to hook them on their NHL game and the Madden, and like to use all that, like to see how much they're playing on each of those. I think it could really, make them a lot more money. Like you were saying, Frank, that would be kind of like a baseline. And there's been rumors for years that sports games were going to go kind of like just one version. You pay a subscription and that's it. You never have to buy, the next year. It's just Madden.
Well, yeah, it's funny because it kind of seemed like that's what EA Play was going to be, but they've never stepped up and offered the current year's games. It's always been last year's games, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, I mean, so this patent thing, I mean, again, it's a patent. We've talked about some of these in the past. You never know if it actually goes anywhere, but I am intrigued by it for a few reasons. I mean, I am always, when it comes to difficulty balancing, it's such a tricky thing. And, you want a game to be challenging, and you want to feel like you're just being challenged enough. But, if a game gets too hard, people turn it off. People don't come back. So it's like, they're almost looking at it like a casino game. It's like, how do we just keep people there? Like, what can we do to tweak the numbers so that people just never turn off this game? And to the point where they're, I guess, looking at all of their catalog of games as analytics to draw from, to say, okay, was this person good at this kind of game? How long have they played this? I mean, makes sense. It's a little bit cynical, but
I'll be honest, I didn't see anything cynical. I saw it as like a generic bullshit patent that people are talking about because it's EA. Lots of games try to have dynamic difficulty. Maybe the key idea here to patent is drawing from data across games. I think it might not even happen. This was a nothing burger to me.
Well, I agree with Sean that like the balancing aspect, like if you're trying to apply this to like, if you're looking at it from the lens of like Jedi Fallen Order and you're trying to like extend a playthrough of that game, how would you balance that? That's crazy. I don't know. Like, I agree. It would be really hard to tweak values here and there to make it more enjoyable, like easier, harder to make people play longer. But if you're looking at it from the lens of the sports games with the pack opening, if they find that, if we give you like an extra gold card in whatever sports game, it doesn't matter, an extra gold card every X often, you will play for 10 minutes longer. So now they apply that across all their sports games, and now the random packs now give you a better card more often, without you even, so like the first time you load up FIFA, it already knows that data that you come back longer with a gold card every 10 minutes. So now it is going to automatically adjust to feed you more gold cards to keep you in there longer and possibly paying more money to buy more packs. So I could see that being more of their application than like balancing a single player game to make you
I mean,
play
that's
longer.
not quite difficulty, right? Like that's getting into, I don't know if there are laws or restrictions yet on randomness for stuff. Like if it has to be the same odds for everyone. I think as soon as, especially with EA, if people were
Yeah.
getting gold card, people would be like, this is bullshit. It would be a huge deal.
Yeah, if it's anything resembling loot box stuff, people are going to freak out. So,
Yeah, well, I guess I could term that as difficulty. Like if gold cards are better, right? You're technically making it easier for the player by having better players. So, I mean, depending on what legalese they use to get around the loot box kind of like terminology, they could say it's, oh, we're making it easier for the player to make them play longer or something like that. Anyways, I thought it was kind of interesting, but when I first, the headline made it sound like it was just like you were saying, Dwight, like game balancing, but which I don't know how that would apply really. I think that would be really hard to do.
yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, I have played games and I've said this before, and I don't know if I've imagined it, but I feel like there have been games I've played where, you know, you die over and over again at a certain point, and then you feel like they somehow tweaked one little thing, one less enemy here, one extra pickup here, and then suddenly you get past that point. And it's like, I think it's a subtle thing because, you know, there's games where like it happens pretty common where you die over and over and they're like, hey, switch to a different difficulty level. And they just flat out tell you, hey, you can change. But that, you know, people don't like, I don't know, somehow that feels like you're giving in. You're not, I don't know. It's just jumping from normal to easy feels like something you don't want to do. Whereas if you can do it in a way that the person doesn't even notice and they just keep playing, that to me is...
Scourgebringer changed their default difficulty to adaptive. Which,
yeah,
this exists. So I think you might be onto something that it's like a bigger scale thing. I think both of your ideas fit under the bigger scale. I mean, like we said, the new thing is that it's pulling from multiple games. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty nebulous. I don't have much to say about it. Anyway, the only reason it was news is because people hate EA, and it was like, this is EA Big Brother doing something awful. Like, all right, let's relax here. All right, let's get into what we played. Should we start with Outriders, since we've all played it a bit? Sean, you were fired up before the show. I'm going to go to you.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, Huck and I did that co-op video. You can check that out. You know, I was enjoying the game more than I thought I would with regards to the prologue and even the co-op session we played. And, you know, it's a shooter, feels a lot like Gears of War to me. Kind of generic
by the same people.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Gears of War Judgment. And I, you know,
Gears of War.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm almost positive. Positive.
I didn't know that if that's the case, but I felt like I'd played a lot of elements of the game before, but I kind of, as much as there was this really long intro with a lot of cutscenes and dialogue, I was kind of intrigued by the world. And then when you get into some of the powers that seemed to, like, I don't know, I liked that element of it, and some of the loot and stuff. I was like, okay, so it's like Gears of War, but there's a little bit more there. There's a little bit of RPG stuff, and I was kind of liking that.
I was wrong. Sorry. I knew I saw Gears of War on their Wikipedia. They ported it.
Oh, okay.
And they did Infinity Blade, right? These guys did Infinity Blade?
No, I think that was Chair, wasn't it?
Oh, Chair, right.
Sorry, Sean.
But but you know, we mentioned this in the video. There's something weird with for me, for sure, I felt like there was something off with the aiming. And then, so I played it a bit more today, and couple things. So I was on World Tier 3, playing on normal difficulty.
I think each World Tier is a difficulty. Like if you hover over, when I switched to World Tier 2, it was like easy. Like enemies are one level lower than you.
Is that what it means then? Okay, I thought you could...
Changes your rewards.
But I think you can change the difficulty within the tier, because it mentioned something about changing difficulty. Anyway, it was insanely hard. I was getting destroyed left and right. And so first thing I did, I was like, okay, what's up with the aiming? Can I fix this? And I noticed there was definitely, like, just moving the reticle around and stuff, there was definitely an input lag. So I changed my TV to game mode, which I don't usually do, don't usually have to do. It helped a little bit, but I was still like, it's just, there's something with the acceleration of it. Like when you kind of get in the middle of like a frenzied action sequence and you're like trying to aim real quick, it's just all over the place. So it's really frustrating. And then the other thing I was going to mention, so I'm playing as Technomancer. That's the class I chose, which is more of like a long range class. So, I can't aim that well. And all my attacks are like, ranged attacks. And this is a game where you can't really stay in cover very long because the cover either gets destroyed or they throw grenades or people flank you and charge at you.
Yeah, they flank a lot. And
you got to keep moving.
The ultimate reason we all have the same complaints kind of, and it's because they're fighting this design angle of it being for 3 people and 1 person at the same time, right? And every decision we've talked about supports that. World tier is there, so if you're playing by yourself, you can bring it down and crank it up if you're playing with 3 people who have done everything in the game.
Yeah, and I guess that's part of it. And, there's other things like the RPG elements, the looter shooter thing. Like some of the enemies feel like really bullet spongy. Like, it doesn't feel as satisfying. Like it just feels like you're sitting there pulling the trigger forever before somebody dies. And maybe that'll change over time. But anyway, all those things, this time around playing it, I was getting real frustrated and I was like, man, I don't know how much longer I'm going to continue with this game, but I was kind of enjoying it. What did you guys think?
Go ahead,
well, I didn't play it too much. Like I played the prologue and then I played that section with Dwight, so I haven't played any more since. But I would echo most of what Dwight said. I like the world building they were doing. The cutscenes were a little excessive in the beginning, but you could just skip them, no big deal if you don't want to watch them. But it did seem like a weird way to ramp a person up into this game. Maybe they should have, spread them out a little bit more. I chose to be the Devastator, I believe, which is like the tank version. And that guy was pretty fun because I like doing that sort of run and gun, get in your face kind of gameplay, and it rewarded that by giving you health back when you defeat a guy or kill a guy close up. So that kind of played into my style. But when Dwight and I were playing, I was getting swarmed by 5, 6 guys, and I didn't even know there was...
that. The AI is exactly what you want.
What, run
smart
right
AI.
at my face?
Yeah, like just...
is that smart?
Not
I have a shotgun. Should they stand in front of me? I don't know. But I didn't know, they didn't teach you about the right stick click-in button, which is kind of like the butt end or the melee attack close up. And once I found that out, it was much easier because it definitely was a powerful attack that cleared the guys out. But I did find I would forget to use my powers quite often, which probably didn't help. But they seemed to recharge pretty quickly when I did use them. So they obviously want you to use them, and probably they are helpful to get you kind of through the game. But yeah, I could notice it right away when Dwight joined us and we went into the co-op. The difficulty was much harder as soon as someone else joined by quite a bit, not just like double, but it was quite a bit harder. I mean, how many times did we do that first mission? Like, this is the first mission in the game past the prologue, and we died a whole bunch of times. We've died 3, 4 times maybe.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's set up in a way that you're expected to die a bunch, but you're going to level up and get some loot and eventually get better. I don't know if that's the expectation. But yeah, it's possible.
Just seemed like maybe they should have ramped you in a bit slower.
Yeah.
But what about you, Frank?
Yeah, I didn't even get as far as you guys. I didn't hate it though. Like, it's a serviceable shooter. I mean, I'm torn because it's very similar to Gears of War, which I like a lot, although it's a little faster, which I didn't mind. But I'm like, if I'm going to play this, I haven't beat Gears of War 4 or 5. I think I would just rather go play co-op campaign Gears of War.
Yeah.
I was a pyromancer. It really bothers me that there's two classes that end with mancer. They couldn't come up with a different name. Like that. That bothers me to a level I can't even stress. Like, how does that happen? Like that is, it literally makes my head explode. Do you guys feel that way? Like that is the
I
lamest.
mean, it's kind of, yeah, I
No.
see your point.
You have two Mansers? You have all five unique names, but you couldn't come up with something else other than Manser. All right.
Whatever.
It's bad. It's really bad. But yeah, the power for the Pyromancer, I found it a little difficult to aim. It's like this fire wave, which I thought was interesting, but not that much fun in practice. And I didn't like the way enemies spawned. In that one open area, I would push up, and then all of a sudden people were, like you said, coming from behind me. I'm like, that seems odd. I thought I was going forward, not in an area. So there's some design issues. It's not bad though, but the cutscenes were a drain on me. Like I could not take it. And I disagree, Huck. I cannot skip cutscenes. It's not in my ability. If it's there, I must watch it and must be mad while I'm watching it. So that's my OCD. But
Yeah, I hear you.
they're a little dry and long.
I also am not a cutscene skipper kind of guy unless it gets really excessive. Like I prefer to be able to do like the thing where you can kind of cut off the dialogue and just read the text really quickly to scroll through.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like to.
Point where you're not even reading it.
Well, you catch a few words here and there. I mean,
you do.
I just feel like there might be something important. Like I'm kind of interested in the story. I just
If we're gonna talk about what games should rip off, we've already said audio, collectibles. That if you want to expand lore, or what Last of Us does and other games where while you're doing things, audio or dialogue is playing. Like it's a no-brainer. It's the easiest way to digest world building. Number two, second way to improve this stuff. It's already been done. Zelda. Just put certain words in colors that are really important and you can scan it and get like, okay, that's an important word. Like you can just get like you said, scan it and get a vibe from this stuff. Like why games don't do that more is also beyond me.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'd be curious to know what the percentages are of how many people are actually reading all this stuff, as you said, with like Cyberpunk and like obviously some people are, but
If I was making a game like this and play testing it, I would want to do play tests where it's like have them play the campaign. Okay, we kind of did this on games I've worked on, but they were not this story based. Like we were trying to find out more. Is a very light narrative with just kind of visual elements understandable, which is a totally different problem. But like you have all these cutscenes. You're spending so much money on these things. You give it to a playtester. Okay, tell me what happened in that prologue. You'd see like blanks everywhere. I don't know how that is a result of playtesting. I don't know who these stories are for. It's like this requirement of games. That's
yeah.
why the first Uncharted story is so good. Those cutscenes are the perfect length and it advances the story perfectly. Condense your narrative.
Yeah. And one other thing, a lot of shaky cam in those cutscenes. Apparently, you can. I think there's a setting you can like.
The room?
What's that?
You have to leave the room or you're going to barf?
No, I just like it was just bothering me from an aesthetic. Like the fake, computer generated shaky cam bothers me. It just does not work, and I think you can turn it down if it does bother you from a physical standpoint. But I just don't like it aesthetically.
Am I remembering that correctly? That you had to leave like a Bourne movie or something like that because of the shaky cam?
There was something where I was like in the front row. I think maybe the Hurt Locker, was that one? Did that have shaky cam?
It might have been someone else that I'm thinking of.
I'm sure it happened at some point, but Generally, it's not a problem.
All right, moving on. Outriders.
Moving on.
Let's just for shits and giggles. At this point, if you were going to give it a start, since everyone does review in progress, let's give a review in progress for Outriders after playing not even the prologue.
I mean, that's tough because, like, you know, we like the
Out
game
of 5
crashed.
stars, Sean.
The game crashed when we were doing co-op. Like, they've got a lot of technical issues, and like, you know, games like this that are online, I get it, and I don't want to hold it against them, but I kind of have to. It'd probably be a 3 out of 5 for me.
I was a 3.5.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I would say 3 out of 5. I guess.
Don't be
Right in
scared.
the middle of the road.
It's okay. We know it's a review in progress. Everyone knows it.
Yeah.
This is complete bullshit. It's a joke. To just get it out there. 3.5. Right on the money.
You know what? I want the clicks. I'm going 1 out of 5.
Oh, now we're gonna get those views up. Title for this video: Outriders. Review in progress. 1 out of 5.
There we go.
We don't bury the lead here. We give it right in the title.
I want to talk about a game which I didn't even know about until
I
Huck
think I brought it up. Yeah.
I'm so glad you did. Kaze and the Wild Masks, which is a 2D platformer that is absolutely amazing. I'm trying to think if there's been a better 2D platformer since the game it's most directly inspired by, which is the original Donkey Kong Country. I cannot think of one. There have been many Metroid-likes and 2D games that featured great platforming, but this is a platformer, hardcore.
What about your former Game of the Year, Rayman Origins?
You know what? That's the one. Rayman Origins is better, I gotta say. Thank you, Sean. I don't know how I forgot about it, but it is a better game. But this game, like I said, if you're going to compare it to one game, it's Donkey Kong Country, but with quality of life improvements, like bonus stages, only having, or you can retry them over and over again. You don't have to play the whole level to get perfect. It's got the equivalent of the animals in Donkey Kong Country with these masks where you get different powers. And basically the gameplay mode changes where there's a dashing one, a double jump one, and there's like very specific challenges designed for these. It's every design element I love in these types of games. And getting perfect on a level is a challenge, but not too hard. My design philosophies are all over this game. Every collision box, grounded area, you know, jumping, you can jump at the edge of platforms. Everything favors the player. Like I have tons of close calls and never like any, oh, that was bullshit. I'm like, oh, I just narrowly escaped death. That is so empowering to a player. It's something I talk about all the time. It just does everything I love about these types of games. There's 2 levels I'm really not crazy about. I'm very close to platinuming the game, I think. But it's one where it's, what would you call it? A scale almost, but it's a rope where when you step on one, another one goes up. And I don't understand the motivation for these levels. It's like, it just brings the game to a screeching halt. I just have to stand on something and have it come down. So this goes up and go backwards. It's like, no, this is not good. This is not why people play these games, to slow down or to just backtrack and lift up I didn't raise it high enough. Got to go jump back and raise it up again. That's so boring. Cut that level out of the game. You got a 6 out of 5. And there's one other level I played today, which was making me want to snap. But other than that, it's close to perfect. Would be a 5 out of 5 for me. Currently my game of the year. Although it's
pretty cool. I mean, I'm going to pick it up at some point. One little point to mention, it's quite a bit cheaper on Steam. I don't know if you noticed that, Frank. It's like $39.99 on consoles.
Yep.
On Steam, it's like $22.
Well, I'd pay $100 if I got a platinum trophy. I'm not going to get that.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it was worth it for you.
Well, all the games are like that. Disco Elysium is way more expensive.
I don't think it was that much more expensive, but maybe
when it came out on PC, I paid $33. It was $53 without a PlayStation Plus discount on Sony.
I think it was $40.
That's with the PlayStation Plus discount.
Right, gotcha.
Anyway, that's the Nintendo started that. Like, every game was way more expensive on the Switch. Remember Binding of the Isaac collection on Switch was insane. And even that Overcooked collection on PlayStation 5 is like $70. So, I don't know. It's not just a Sony thing. It's a console versus Steam thing.
Yeah.
But I love Kaze and the Wild Masks. It is the best. You must play this game if you're a platforming fan. You absolutely must. You will love it.
Okay.
Especially if you love Donkey Kong Country. There's huge Sonic vibes. Even the Tiny Toons games that Treasure made, the main character is influenced by that. Obviously, Mario works its way into any platformer, including Donkey Kong Country, but it's really, really good. I've been waiting for a platformer like this for a long, long time. Donkey Kong Country Returns, you failed me. Tropical Freeze, you failed me. Ukulele 2.5D, you failed me big time. You all stink. This game rocks. You gotta play it.
Nice. I'm glad I mentioned it. I still haven't picked it up, but I definitely want to. It's moved to the top of my Steam wish list. Right at the top.
Huck, you got anything else?
Sure, yeah. I played two things. I played so on Xbox Game Pass, a game called Wargroove, which I've played before, but it's leaving Game Pass. It's like a tactical strategy turn-based game, kind of like Fire Emblem or Shining Force.
Advanced Wars.
Advanced Wars, yep. I remember really liking this game the first time I tried it out, but only got like to the second chapter or so, didn't get very far. So I fired it up again now that it's leaving Game Pass in a couple weeks, and I'm really, really enjoying it. They added, now I don't know if they added it or I just didn't use it before, but you can speed through all the battles. So all the like nice animations they did to make it look all nice, you can just skip right through all that crap right away. And it just gets right to the punch, right to the strategy part of it, right? You go walk up to the guy, hit attack, skip it, you're done. You see what the result was. And that makes the game flow really quick, really nicely. And I'm not really following the story right now because I haven't spent too much time with it. I've done like 2 or 3 more battles since I started back up. But if anyone has an itch for that sort of turn-based strategy game, or tactical game, I'm not sure what it's called, but definitely check out Wargroove before it leaves Game Pass if you have Game Pass, because it's really, I would say, underrated and possibly not even known by a lot of people. So check it out.
Yeah, I've played a bit of that, and it is quite good. It's one of those games where I would say I might play it more if it was on the Switch, but
oh God.
Frank didn't hear me say that. So I'll mention I tried out, so I beat Talos Principle, was kind of plugging away with that.
Wow.
But it's one of those games where there's like multiple endings. So I basically got the first ending, which is nothing. Like, I was kind of disappointed because it was kind of building up like bits and pieces of story throughout the game. And I was like, okay, what's this building to? And if you just go with the first ending, nothing. It builds to nothing. So that was kind of a disappointment. And I'm like, okay, I guess I got to at least go for the second ending, which is going to be a bit more. But it did, for me, it's a great game. But by the end, it was feeling like a little too long for me. Like, it just, part of it is that at the start, you kind of, as you beat puzzles, you get these puzzle pieces that unlock other things, and you're unlocking doors in the sort of overworld. And so you're into these puzzles, and then you go out and you do a few things in the overworld, if that's what you call it. And that worked quite well. By the end, you're just doing puzzle after puzzle after puzzle, and you're not really getting anything out of it. And it was just a bit much. But I was proud of myself. I think I only had to look up 1 or 2 puzzles. And there are some pretty tricky ones. But
that's good. Some
I
of those
do,
puzzles are quite tricky, from what I
yeah.
remember.
But yeah, I mean, if you're into, as I said, Portal or The Witness, things like that, definitely check it out. Um, and I tried Oddworld Soulstorm, which is on PlayStation Plus right now. I didn't play too much, basically played the first level, and I had never really played an Oddworld game, so I didn't really know what I was getting into. And I guess it's like a 2.5D platformer, is I guess how I would describe it. No?
Wasn't it 2.9D? Wasn't that the
Well,
marketing?
yeah, that was. But it's kind of like, in some ways, reminds me of almost like an endless runner. Like it was reminding me a bit of like the Rayman mobile games and stuff, just because there's sections where something's chasing after you and you kind of just have to keep moving. But I was liking the gameplay. The one thing is like it kind of starts with all these cutscenes and all these characters, and I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are. I've never played an Oddworld game. It just feels like maybe it was time around the right time in this franchise's history for some kind of soft reboot or something. Because I mean, I don't know if it really matters, but I was kind of lost. But it was kind of better than I expected, and I think I might go back to it. So it's free on PlayStation Plus. So just thought I'd mention that. I got one other
And
thing,
it's
but
regular price is, well, 66 Canadian. So I downloaded it. I haven't played it yet, but I mean, the platinum says it's 100 hours, so it might not happen.
really? Oh man.
You have to save it in Mudokon or whatever. I think that's what they're called, or
What?
are they?
Oh, right, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember what they're called, but something like that.
So I got one other thing, but I'll throw it over to you, Frank, if you have anything else.
Any time I've had has gone towards Kaze and the Wild Masks.
Okay.
I could jump in then. I played NBA 2K21, which came to, I guess, Game Pass. I can't remember. Or maybe it was a game with gold. One of those things. And I played just the start your career and started out in high school. And now I don't know. I always find this with these NBA 2K games. I find that the controls are so sluggish and it just doesn't feel like I can actually control the guy. Like I want him to just run around that character and I just can't do it. It's impossible. The guy gets in my way or I stumble or I get kind of locked into some stupid animation that I never meant to do. And it just feels a little sluggish. And it seems like even though I'm playing in high school, all these other guys can do like NBA style moves against me. And I had the same thing with maybe not this year's hockey game, but last year's hockey game, where it just seems like the AI is so much better than you and they don't really help you get better. I don't know if they assume you're at like a certain level, but I am not at that level.
AI in basketball games is the worst. So, like, I totally agree. And I think 2K series kind of pushes you towards like calling plays a bit more than other games and stuff like that, which I don't find that much fun.
I couldn't
But
even
then,
figure out how to do that.
but the NBA Live, that was the opposite. The AI was always so bad you could blow by whoever whenever you want. I remember another Sony had a first party basketball game on PlayStation 3, which I thought was pretty good, but again, the AI would make even on the easiest difficulty. They would make every shot and
Yeah.
I would make nothing. Like I can't think of an NBA game or a basketball game. You'll probably bring up college hoops, which you used to love. But
2K8, baby.
the they just it's always off. No one's ever nailed AI in a basketball game as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
NBA
I
Jam?
mean, well, no.
Definitely not NBA Jam.
It is tricky because I don't know. It seems like every year or every other year I get a chance to try an NBA 2K game and they all feel very similar when I start out. Now, I don't know if there's just like this crazy ramp up in difficulty that you have to get over before it becomes getting fun, but I am not there and I seem to never get there. And I trying to call plays. I just want to pick and roll and I can't figure out how to do it. Just want you to come here and be a pick for me. Can't do that. I want you to do like, drive and kick. Can't figure out how to call that. So I don't know. I was mashing every D-pad button, everything. I called like a bunch of timeouts I didn't mean to because my finger would accidentally slip off and hit the timeout button. So I mean, some games I would be great and get, almost like a double-double, and then other games I would go like 0 for 10 and have like 1 assist and just be so frustrated the whole time. So I don't know. I don't know how to get better at that game. They don't really have a tutorial from what I could tell. It's kind of like, do you want to play online a franchise or the Be a Pro kind of thing? And I mean, I'm sure if I dug around, I would be able to find something, but it's just not obvious.
Yeah, it feels like a series that's built for legacy players, and they're always adding more and catch up to that and understand how all these interactions work. It's a little intimidating.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, I mean, I guess if you're looking for a basketball, this is the one to get, but it's not very good in my opinion. At least not what I played of it. So I might play it again just because I want to get drafted into playing college, and then once I play in the college, I'll probably stop when I get to the NBA. But I would not, at this point in time, I would not recommend it unless you're a big basketball fan that probably has played the previous ones and enjoyed those. So that's the last thing for me.
So Frank mentioned the college hoops there. That just reminded me of something. I don't know if you guys ever played it, and I actually don't really remember if it was a good game or not, but I remember playing a lot of NCAA basketball for the N64. Did either of you guys play that at all?
I don't think so. If I had to rank my top basketball games, it would be College Hoops 2K8, and then I don't know if any of you guys remember this game, but NBA Run and Gun for the Super Nintendo. Did you guys ever play this game?
No,
I didn't play
it was kind of like around the time that NHL hockey came out. That was like it tried to be like on ice camera on Super Nintendo. Do you guys remember that game? What it's called? I can't remember what it's called.
Mode 7 was Stanley Cup hockey, I think.
Yes, Stanley Cup hockey. That's right. So it's kind of like that, except instead of having an overhead view, you were kind of behind the basket and you kind of ran up and down, forward and back. And I love that game. And I remember I found it. The only reason I knew it existed is because I played it at what was that place called? That was like Chuck E. Cheese, Choo Choo Charlie's. They had like an arcade kit of this basketball game, and I loved it. And then I found out it was on Super Nintendo, so I picked it up. I was loving it. Anyways, those are my top 2. That's it. No other good basketball games out there. Not even NBA Jam.
I do like NBA Jam, but I haven't played really a
Oh, wait. Of course, Double
game.
Dribble. Double Dribble is great. NES.
It's not bad. Bill Lambier, Combat Basketball. The list goes on. I will just quickly mention I tried out this Metroid fan game that everyone's talking about. I don't know if you guys saw anything about this.
Didn't you talk about this already? I thought you talked about this game.
I don't think so. Prime 2D. It just came out like a couple days ago.
Okay, maybe not then. Maybe it's something else I'm thinking of.
I haven't even heard of it. So
I guess the idea is it's supposed to be like a 2D remake of Metroid Prime, although based on the levels, like it's not like I recognized anything, so I don't know how true that is. But it's basically a new 2D Metroid game being made by fans. It looks really nice. It's got a cool atmosphere to it. And the thing that's kind of interesting about it is that you have to play with keyboard and mouse. At least as far as I could tell, there was no controller support. And the mouse moves around where you're aiming. So you're kind of, with the keyboard jumping around, platforming, and then you can aim at enemies with your mouse, which took a while to get used to, but it kind of worked. I don't know. It was like certainly something that I can't think of too many other games that have done that. I feel like Owlboy kind of had similar controls, but it's more of like a flying game than a platforming game. So I'm not.
Noid is like that. I think there's lots of 2D pieces.
I think that's how they map sort of like twin stick shooter mechanics to mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, I guess that would make sense.
It does look really cool.
It's fairly short. Like I played, I think it took me like 25 minutes or something to kind of get through the demo. There's more, you can go back and find more collectibles and stuff. But I mean, and I have no idea if this full game will ever get made or if Nintendo's going to shut it down. But it's pretty neat, and it's out there right now. You can find it, and it's free. So I don't know if you're kind of itching for some kind of Metroid thing, check it out.
The animation I really like, the kind of leaning back and shooting.
Yeah.
It looks
And I must say, they almost have like IK on the Samus's gun, which is
it's
cool.
It's interesting because like you can be running away and be shooting backwards, which is something you could never do. So
yeah,
this is awesome.
I thought you were going to be very sarcastic and cynical about a fan game, Frank, but
not at all. This is amazing.
And
this looks really cool.
The music is kind of redone versions of
just the color palette, and like they are perfectly recreating the look of the areas from Metroid Prime.
Yeah, see, I didn't totally remember the actual location, so
imagine if this is what Retro's working on with Metroid Prime 4. And not this, but they're doing a 2D and they're like, God damn it.
Did they ever officially announce that Prime trilogy for Switch? I know there's been rumors forever.
Like just the same HD version that's out for Wii U, you mean? And Wii?
Yeah, I thought they were going to do like an HD remake for the Metroid trilogy, Prime trilogy.
But there already is an HD.
That was on the Wii. I don't think it was HD.
I think it was.
The Steelbook one? That was a Wii game, and it was not HD.
But it's also on the Wii U. But
gives a shit about that.
I swear it was HD, but I guess maybe that doesn't make sense. Yeah, I guess it wouldn't be. Yeah, there's some rumors out there about it, so... But it has not been announced as far as I know.
I thought the one on Wii U was just a digital version of the Wii one.
Yeah, I think it is. You're right. It's like the exact same thing. And the big thing with that was that they actually put the Wii motion controls in for 1 and 2, which who the hell actually wants that? But
you got it. All right, anything else?
That's it.
Said it was going to be short, longest show we've done in a while. Thanks for joining us. Check out youtube.com/GameJunk. Check out My Angry Commute and Equilibrium Sis on Twitter for Huck and Film Junk for Sean. And until next week, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.